Here we go, everybody. Welcome in, welcome to the Good Bit Podcast. It's that time again, my word. We're back, we're here. It's a brand new season, season 5. I'm getting all confused with the numbers. I can't keep up with them in terms of which. I know it's only season 5. It's not as if it's season 5,624. It's just season 5. It's not that hard to remember. But sometimes it's like, when do you end a season? When do you start a new season? How many episodes should be in a season? What the good thing about this is that there's no rules. No rules, ladies and gents. Which I'm sure there's a song out there somewhere called that. I can't remember who sings it. Dua Lipa sang No Rules, I believe. Welcome in, everybody, to a brand new season of the Good Bit Podcast. My name is Chris Moffat. I am your host, as always, and I'm here with an amazing guest today, chatting about a brand new film that's just out, a 2023 release, a sequel to a TV show, which is something we don't do often here on the Good Bit Podcast. So make sure you're up to date with your detective crime thrillers that are on Netflix. Luther, the Final Son. Luther, the Fallen Son. It'd be good if I got the name right of the film. Luther, the Fallen Son is what we're talking about today, with Idris Elba and Cynthia Erivo and Andy Serkis, which we'll get into in a second. And join me for the first time, a first guest, the first episode back. Here we are, season 5, episode 1, guest 1. We might not get any better than this, ladies and gents. It's Mr. Cole Stewart. Cole, last time I saw you was for your birthday the other week. How was your birthday?
It was great, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Did you have a nice night?
I had a lovely night, yeah. It was very nice. It's always funny, isn't it, having all your different kind of pals from different groups or different things. But yeah, it was great. I had a rare tear.
I totally agree with you. It's almost like you kind of look at the group around you and you're like, I'd never expected this person to speak to that person, and it just doesn't add up sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And I did like how, like, around, I don't know what it was, 11 o'clock at night or something, someone just decided to go, right, we're playing Twister. And I thought it was going to be like a party theme. You know what I mean? Like, we're all going to play Twister. So I was like, all right, okay, blah, blah. I go to take my Twister place and I was like the only one playing it.
Oh, I mean, people joined in eventually.
They feel bad for me. That's what it was.
No, it was a pity party it turned into. No, I think you're right. And also when, like for me anyway, I just want everyone to get on and everyone to love each other. So if I've got like pals from college that are like with, I don't know, like who, like just close pals that I've been pals with for ages. Like I'm like, I just want everyone to get on and everyone like each other and find each other really lovely and beautiful. And that, of course, that did happen, but it's just the fear, and you want everyone to chat and talk and
that's true,
and be sociable.
Because you've got that thing in common with everybody. You just hope that they find that common theme.
Yeah,
you know.
In fact, there was one, my friend David Platt, another friend asked how we knew each other, and we couldn't work it out. I was like, I don't know how we know each other, but we've known each other for a good few years now.
Yeah.
And we could not work it out. So that's funny when that happens.
You couldn't figure out the origin story. It's weird. And we also played a nice card game. It was called Linky. I'd never heard of it before.
Linky.
I'm going to take that
Linky.
one. That was
good. Yeah. It's I think you can get it in all good retailers. It's yeah, it's a good one. A friend of mine introduced me to it, and I bought my own version, and and it's great.
Life was changed.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we kind of know each other through a mutual friend. You went to college with my partner for a long time.
I was going to say, that's funny you're calling her a friend. I wasn't.
Hi, maybe I had to announce something to you. There was something drastic's happened over the past week.
Like, oh gosh, right, I see where we're at, Chris.
But I saw you did a play with her, Vanity Fair. Such a good time.
Yes.
Do you look back on those times with fond memories, or was it one of those ones where it's done, happy it's over, we've moved on?
With that show specifically?
Yeah, or that show and then anything that preceded it.
Yeah, no, I really liked it when I was first sort of starting it. We were doing the read through for it and stuff, and getting assigned roles. I wasn't that into it, to be honest, because it was a very classical, almost Renaissance-y thing, like period piece, and I'm no into that. I'm very like new writing, funny, like whatever, just in your face stuff. But Amanda, who directed it, love Amanda, biggest fan. She she just did really cool stuff with it and turned it into something that I really loved. And I thought, I think for like a final year show in college, I think she really pushed us. Like I felt pushed, and also it felt like she wasn't just trying to tick a box to say, yeah, we did a final, we did a show with these people and now they're
Yeah.
graduates. I felt like she was working as in that we were creating something really nice.
That's good. It's always nice when you kind of feel rewarded at the end of it. You know what I mean? It was like the kind of hard work paid off. I asked Amanda to come on the podcast as a guest, and she just laughed in my face. She was just like, absolutely not. Why would anybody want to hear me, is what she said. And she says, I know nothing about films. Why would anybody want to talk? So it doesn't matter. Like, I love Amanda, and she will come on. Our husband's been on the podcast loads of times, so she needs to come on
Oh,
and
she
do her turn.
must.
Yeah.
She's got tons she can talk about.
Surely she's got plenty of good stories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She would have a few things to talk about.
Yeah, she's done tons. She's got great stories.
Tons of stuff, knows a lot of people, you know. I feel like
Yeah.
she's been around, you know what I mean?
She's been around.
She's been around. She's been there, done that. You know what I mean? Well, listen, you're a podcast pro at this point, because not only, you know, you've appeared on a couple of episodes of other podcasts that I've known of, but you're a producer of your own. Putting it together is becoming a big thing. Across like 300 episodes. Did I see that the other week?
Yes, 300. We hit 305 today, actually. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's Brian O'Sullivan that presents, created it, and it's been going for over 5 years. And then I only came on board with it sort of last year. So yeah, just over a year. Producing's a big word. I send a lot of emails and arrange stuff. It's not a huge, you know how it is. But no, it's great and I love it. And you get to meet a lot of cool people and hear a lot of, and I was a fan of the podcast before I was working on it, which was really nice. So
that's cool.
It was nice I knew what I was getting into roughly when I started with Brian. But yeah, it's great. It's fab.
Become my favorite thing, like, of the podcast is like creating those relationships and like networking in some way. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're performers, you know, we're actors, we're trying to get our names out there and stuff. This is a hobby that we do, but if we can use it to our advantage, then that's, you know, totally a positive. You know, who has been some fun people you've chatted to and managed to get on the podcast?
Well,
you get any favorites?
Yes, but I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Last week I was at Play Pie Pint, and Dorothy Paul walked in and sat in front of me. Do you know Dorothy Paul?
I know the name. I don't know her personally.
So she's like an older Scottish legend. So she's kind of like Elaine C. Smith,
right?
Kind of like arguably bigger, but more and older. So known more kind of like your gran or granda would know Dorothy Paul really well,
right?
And I love like all her stuff's on YouTube. I've got her DVDs. She's just like a solid like Scottish comedy funny legend. She was in the original cast of the Steamy,
right?
And
the original cast. That is
the original cast back in 1585. And so she came and sat in front of me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I met her when I was doing panel. She came to see it, and I met her after the show. So then she sat in front of me, and I thought, there she is, but she's not going to remember who I am. She's older, you know. I don't know if she's got all her marbles lined up. Do you know what I mean? She's an older woman,
right?
And so after the show, in fact, I text Brian, who hosts the podcast, and I said, you'll never guess who's just walked in and sat in front of me. Dorothy Paul. And he says, you must ask her on the podcast. So then I was quite nervy because I thought she might not even know what a podcast is. And so after the show, I went up and spoke to her, and she was lovely. And we spoke about the show that we just watched, and then I sort of nervously asked her if she'd want to come on, and she was delighted. She said yes, of course. And then she gave me her number, so I need to basically get in touch. We've just not done it yet. This is very recent development. But yeah, so I feel like when Dorothy Paul comes on the show, that will be my favorite, just because I love her so much. Good. I'm just constantly talking about Dorothy Paul or some mad Scottish funny woman.
For the 50s.
for the 50s, the 1500s. But yes, but no, there's been tons. Darren Brownlee, he's been on a few times. He's just great. He's got some great stories. And who else? John Keelty, his was a really good episode, just because he does so much. Like actor, MD, blooming everything. So yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it's good. And then this week we had Cindy Awar on. So she was grand. She's just she was the SITS grad, one of the, what do you call it? A SITS, a graduate an
Yeah.
internship, the internship
Got
thing.
you. Okay.
She's just finished that. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's grand.
Cindy's been going for ages. I remember, like, I know Cindy, but we don't have like this personal relationship or connection or anything like that. We just know each other
Okay.
through lots of other mutual friends. We met each
Yeah.
other like 10 years ago, and then like
Okay.
didn't see her for 4 years. Chatted to her like once at a party. Didn't see her for 2 more years, and then I saw her the other night at your birthday party. You're so right though about like that approaching thing that you immediately get really nervous about. Now,
Yeah.
I think I would get slightly nervous if I was just going up to speak to someone that I knew of, probably won't remember, maybe even just to say hello, right? What's the worst that could
Uh-huh.
happen? They might just not remember you and they'll be polite or whatever, or they could be rude,
Yeah.
right? But when you're going to ask them about something like that, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to come on and help me out, or
Yeah.
do you want to come and do this podcast? First of all, they could just go, no, and then that's
No.
fine. I don't want it. I don't know what a podcast is. But I do get real nervous, and sometimes it's kind of clouded my kind of judgment in terms of when I see somewhat famous people about. Like, I feel like the first thing I should ask is, "Can you come on and do the podcast?" But I don't want that to be the first thing. You know what I mean? I want that
Yeah.
kind of personal thing. How do you go about
Uh-huh.
it? Do you go and try and introduce yourself first, talk about something nice, and then try and slip it in, or is it your pitch? You know?
No, I'd go in personal first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd probably mention the podcast, see what the vibe is, and then maybe say,
Oh, you
"Would
should
you
come on.
like?"
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way of doing it. You should come on, like, "Oh, like you'd be great." Uh, and the reaction you get most of the time is, "Oh, who wants to listen to me chat?" And you go, which now, like, I've got to the point where, like you asked me to do this last week, and I said, yeah, of course. Whereas before, I would have gone, oh, nobody wants to listen to me, but I will literally listen to anyone on any podcast. So I just say yes to whatever because I'm like because I listen to anyone, so I'll
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah.
So
You kind of just
yeah,
hope that, there's like an entertaining kind of conversation that comes out of it or whatever, you know what I mean? But,
yeah,
and that's kind of what I'm trying to go with the podcast here when we're talking about the movies. It's like, regardless of if you've seen the movie or not, you should still be able to listen because it's not like a whole
yeah,
review. You know what I mean? That's kind of
uh-huh,
that's my thought process anyway.
yeah.
Anyway, we'll get off that. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear about podcasts and stuff.
People don't want to listen to me.
They don't want to listen to podcasts. You mentioned Panto there. That's the last time I saw you perform, and I think only time other than Vanity Fair. But I saw you perform at Panto at
Yeah.
the Tron last December.
Yes.
Did you have an amazing time? It looked like you did.
Oh, it was so yeah, it was so good. I don't yeah. I went a wee bit speechless there, didn't I? Yeah, I loved it. It was everything I thought it would be and more. One of those, just a pure cheesy like that was a bit of a tick for me because I started going to see Tron Pantos maybe like 5 6 years ago, and I remember sitting in the like the side slips in the Tron on
Yeah,
those dodgy stools, that only swing halfway. Let it go the whole way. Give us some fun, Andy.
it's 2023. Anything's possible.
2023. Let the stools go right round, Andy Arnold. Um, and I turned to my mum and I says, I'd literally pay to do that. Like I'd pay to be on that stage doing what they're doing because it looked so fun.
Yeah,
And it was Johnny and Darren and like Julie Wilson Nimmo and Lauren Steele like all having a gallus time. And then so then when I got offered the job, I was like, yes, and you're going to give me money to do it. Oh, even better. Like so yeah, it was great, and everyone was so lovely and so
yeah,
nice. It was a nice. It's so cheesy. Everyone says it, but we did become a little family. We were dead. There's only 7 of you on stage, 2 in the pit, and then 7 on stage. So you have to be quite tight. So
absolutely.
and it's 2 shows a day for like 7 weeks. So
Yeah,
you do live with each other basically between shows. Everyone's sleeping in the green room or eating, or it's like a flat share for 3 months
totally,
in many ways. So
totally.
yeah, loved it.
It was my favorite. Out of the pantos I saw last year, it was my favorite one.
Oh wow.
Just
Oh
it was just
thanks.
so much fun. But also, I met good bit alum Tyler Collins there, like
Of
just outside
course.
the theatre. And my God, is he a giant? I mean, we're giants,
Yes.
you and I, but my word, he must be 8 foot two.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's tall. Yeah.
just the
I
nicest guy though.
actually I got a new car just before Christmas, and it was a lot smaller than my older one, and I'd been giving him lifts to the theater sometimes, or home for the theater, and then I got after Christmas I offered him a lift, and then I went, oh no wait, you won't fit because my new car is like a 2-seater and it's tiny. I barely fit in it. So like I literally just fit in it, and I'm like sitting on the floor. So I said, Tyler, you won't fit, and he was like, "Oh, it's all right. I fold." So he was going to fold up, and like he would have had to fold up. It ended up he didn't come in the car because I mean, even if fitted, but
He didn't want to fold.
didn't fit.
He could have folded into the boot. He hasn't even
I
got a
don't want
boot.
to fold. Actually, do you know, oddly, the boot's big, but it's
Oh,
got a kind of slopey roof thing, so I don't understand it. Anyway, I don't understand cars. Had to get a new tire today, £96, but that's another story. But
£96
yeah,
for another tyre that you need. You can't actually drive the car without it. So
you can't. I've tried, Chris, and you can't. So,
it was a bumpy
but
ride.
yeah, Tyler Collins, great guy. I've listened to his episode of the Good Bit. It was
Oh,
very good, very good.
thank you, thank you. That was one where we were using Zencaster and the audio was lovely. So God knows how this is going to be on soon. Okay, cool. What about in terms of you watching movies? I don't know how big of a movie fan you are, how much of a film fanatic you are. What's the last thing you watched? Like, are you watching anything just now? Any shows on rotation for you?
um, what have I been watching? I I went back and started Happy Valley again
Mm,
because it's been on. So, and I'd watched it years ago when it was first on, and then I was up to date watching it when the last series 3, I think it was. Uh, and then it was so good, and a lot of people were starting it for the first time, and I
right,
was almost jealous of them. I was like, "Oh, you don't like you've got so much to see and so much to like love about this series." So I thought I'm going to go back and watch it as well, even though I know the outcome and what happens and what's going on. I'm going back to watch it. So I've been dipping in and out of that, and then Two Doors Down is like my comfort kind of watch. Like I've watched every episode like genuinely about 20 times at least.
yep,
So that's my total. If I just want something funny, like a reliable, this will give me food.
yeah,
Um, and then Luther was the last film I watched. But and you mentioned Amanda Beveridge
yeah.
said this. I was scared to say it, Chris, but I feel I'm comfortable now. I'm not a huge film fan,
That's
and
right.
it's only because I feel like for me a lot of films are too long, and there's not enough in a film for me for it to be that length for it to qualify being 90 minutes to 220 minutes. Like I
Right,
need that's why I love the film that I've chosen. I watched recently and I loved it because it was packed and it was
right.
pacey and it was quick and there was no lull for me. I wasn't sitting going right, okay, I know, like not that I'm a pure smarty pants,
Yeah,
but just usually I'm sitting going right, okay, I know what's going to happen now,
yeah.
or you're going to say that to him and then he's going to die and then you're going to end up together, or so
Totally.
I'm not like the biggest fan just because they can't, well, that's my own issue, I suppose, but they can't hold my attention long enough for me to be interested.
I feel like that with films too. Like if I see a film is 3 hours, there's a good chance I'm probably not going to watch it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
Especially any longer than 3 hours. The Oscars just happened, and usually around kind of Oscar season, I try to watch all the best pictures, or at least most of them.
Okay.
So because I like the fact that it's like that's all the films that are out now, and like I've kind of got my kind of fix of what's going on in cinema just now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of what I try to do around Oscar time. I used to have a Cineworld card, but it's just expired. So I would see them all kind of in the build up to it anyway, but like now a lot of stuff are on streaming now anyway, so I can kind of get them at home, so it's fine. But
Yeah.
like every Best Picture nominee, bar two of them or something this year, was like over 2 hours, and I was like, "What is this? Why are we
Nah,
picking the long films? Who has the
nah.
time?" You know. So you would think that I was more of a TV show guy because of that, because it's the quick, episode by episode.
Yes.
But because the
That's
series are so long, they lose my attention. I just don't go back to them.
okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I like the fact it's a beginning, middle, and end in one film. That's kind of why I
Yeah.
prefer them.
Yeah. I get what you mean with a series. I prefer a series though because almost because of that, because you've got say 6 episodes in a series, but each episode is packed.
Right,
So because they're half an hour or 58 minutes long, so they're all packed with just the bits you need and no more. Typically,
right.
some drag on. Whereas a film for me, there's too many. I always want to sit down with a right. Not that I'd qualify for this at all, but I always want to sit down with a film writer, like a screenwriter, and just go, "You don't need that. You don't need this. You've said that. You don't need that. Why is this character here? Like, just give me like." Get in, get on, get off, get out. Like,
Got
just
you.
tell me. tell me what we need to do. Tell me what I need to see, what I need to hear. I don't want to bask in your film. I just want to see it and learn it and enjoy it, and then it to be done.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. But then you see these shows that come on, streaming services to binge, right? Which people like to do. They like the binge,
Yeah.
not the weekly thing. But then these ones that are like the bingeable shows have like 19 seasons,
Uh-huh.
23 episodes apiece and stuff. Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds. I was like,
Yeah.
who's watching these? But
Mhm.
apparently so. Apparently they're quite popular. So I
Um,
struggle. I struggle with that.
yeah. And I'm not a big binger either.
Mm,
So I started Bridgerton, never
right.
finished it. Started like so many series on Netflix. My Netflix is all just filled with continue watching. And I'm like, no, I've watched half of that. And I'm like, I might go back to Bridgerton one day. This is
Right.
one example, but there's about at least six that I've started. And they're all right. Like, I don't hate them, don't love them. I kind of just watch them because they're current and everyone's watching them.
Relevant. Yeah.
That's, yeah. Uh, but I'm not. I kind of wish I was more of a binger because people just love like. And is there not? There is a category on Netflix
Mm-hmm.
weekend bingeables or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I go, well, no, I can. I could start it this weekend and finish it a weekend in 2028 maybe,
Right.
but not
When I
this
see
year.
when I see them, I'm like, but it's Tuesday. I can't watch it. Um, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And then there's shows that like you have to watch these, and I'm like, right, okay.
Must sees.
Why? You don't know me. You know what I mean? Like I might not
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Or you get like the most random. Uh, because you watched this, we think you'll like this. But
Yeah.
I watched the most random eclectic stuff. Watched like a music concert and then a documentary about Wales and then some rom-com and then a horror. So it's just like, we think you'll like this. And I'm like, no, I don't
you
think I will.
you might like grown-ups or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. How long do you think is a suitable amount of time between watching episodes or something then? Because I'm quite bad for that. Whereas like maybe I'll watch episode 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe I'll go back to episode 4 in 4 months. I don't know if it's taking the piss a bit. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, do you know what you've just made me think of? I'm the same with reading. Sorry, I was getting my book there.
I'm
I
exactly the
started
same.
Shuggy Bain
Oh,
like last year because everyone was talking about it. The 2020 Booker Prize. Oh my gosh, it's 2023, but I
yeah.
probably bought this about 3 years ago. And I've never finished it because it's a big chunk of a thing. Look at that. And there's no pictures, Chris. What am I meant to do? So I wish I could. The other day, actually, I went back and started reading it, but I thought this is a lot like my TV
Yeah.
binging. Like I'm not good at it, and I want to be good at it.
It annoys me that I'm not a good reader, right? I don't know why. It's not as if you need to be a good reader to live, but it's just I'd like to be a good reader, right? I'll just
Uh-huh.
read more, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So it was one of my kind of New Year's resolutions a few years ago to go. I'm going to try and read this, some more books and stuff. I read all the Harry Potter ones, and there's some hefty ones, man. 800 pager, Order of the
Oh,
Phoenix, I think, biggest book I've ever read. But so now I've kind of finished those ones. I'm kind of it's like life after Harry Potter. So I'm like trying to find like other books that I can read, and I've just finished one called In 5 Years, and it's about a
okay.
girl that has got this nice lifestyle, good job and stuff like that. Goes to sleep one night and has this really vivid dream about stuff that she doesn't realize she's with a different partner, got a different job in a different apartment.
Oh,
Wakes up and is like, "Oh my god, that dream was so real feeling, but I'm fine." And then 5 years down the line, it happens in real life, and she's like,
no.
"That was my dream." So that was good, and because it's got a kind of, I think it's going to happen, and you're kind of seeing how it gets there. That helped
Yeah.
me. I'm now reading the Star Wars book that's got like 40 short stories in it. And I thought that might help me
Oh,
because it's a short story, short story, short
yeah.
story. It's not this long thing, but it's also like 500 odd pages. So it's finding that balance, finding the
Yeah.
stuff you like, and what's easier for you to read. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm still struggling. I'm not a good reader at all.
Yeah. My friend at the moment is doing so their New Year's resolution was to just read a bit every day, and that was the measurement, a bit.
Yeah,
So it can be a chunk, like a paragraph of text, or it can be a chapter, because they thought if I say a chapter, I'm not going to do it.
it's
Like
too
if one
much.
day, yeah, like one day I might read three chapters, but the next day I might read a sentence or a line. So they've just went with a bit, and I quite like that.
That's
I'm
good.
trying to do that because I want to be a better reader. But also, I used to get into trouble in school, like in secondary school in English. you were obviously made to read and you had to read for different assignments and things.
I know,
I
bastard
always
man.
read I always read autobiographies because I felt reading fiction was pointless. I was like, somebody's written this, somebody's made, which is hilarious because now I work in arts where everything is made up. But I'd be like, this is pointless. So I'd literally bring in like anything from Miley Cyrus's autobiography, Miley Cyrus, Miles to Go, to Michael McIntyre's book. To I had like tons of autobiographies, and my English teacher at parents' night would always be like to my mum, Cole should really try and focus on reading some fiction. It'll really help with his imagination and his growth,
Exactly.
within English. And I was like, but they're made up. Like this is real. I'm learning stuff here.
It's no real.
I wasn't getting it. It's not real. But in saying that, I love reading scripts because I think books give me too much because everything it's like, oh, it was a foggy day and the grass had a dewy glisten on it, and I'm like, well, just give me the dialogue and I can imagine that, I can picture
Exactly.
that. Don't let me do the work for that.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I'm going to
but
say.
then,
If you've categorized it as I'll just read a bit every day, as actors, you could just read a script or read a wee synopsis or something. And
yeah,
it still counts. You know what I mean? A full
yeah,
script can still take as long as a couple of chapters would take in a book. I would think anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of working on that. We'll see how it goes. Please keep me posted on your progress as well because I'm a fellow struggling reader in these tough times.
We should set up a struggling book club. We meet
Struggling.
once a year.
You
Just
didn't
go. Have you?
this year? No, me neither.
No, we'll try again next year.
Same time. Okay, that's good. Um, what was the first film that you ever remember seeing? Like, do you have that in like your
Oh,
memory somewhere? Can you remember the first cinema trip, or was it just something you watched in the house?
I don't remember. I'm sure I'd probably have seen a film in the house before I saw one in the cinema, but I seem to remember seeing a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks in the cinema
Hmm.
when I was younger. I don't know if I'm not sure when it came out, but it must have been when I was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6
That's mid two
or
thousands,
later.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, my grandpa took me to the cinema quite a lot, and I just seem to remember watching a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks, which is funny because now I hate animation. Like
Really?
I can't watch an animation. And like I totally like I appreciate the artistry of it and
Yeah.
like I find it fascinating how people can do that. But I can't cope if it's not a real person on the screen. I just I feel like I'm watching a like a comic book or something,
Right.
and it's just not I just it doesn't hold me.
Interesting. Alvin and the Chipmunks was 2007, by the way. So that's if you're curious.
Or was it? So I would have been 9.
It's not got the best reviews, I must say, but I do
What are
remember
they?
it.
If you're reading my review of it when I was 9, then it might not be very good English. So,
But at the same time, you would have loved it though. You would have loved it.
well, what's how many stars did it get?
I don't know, but it's got 5.2 on IMDb and a 39 Metascore. You know it's going to be bad when the Metascore is red, but I
I
don't
don't,
go by that. I don't judge that. You have your own
I've never
opinions. You know what I
heard.
mean?
What's a meta score?
I think that's by the critics. You know,
Oh,
the critics, the people who tell you your opinion. You know what I mean? That's bad.
yes.
You know, like that. Um, so yeah, no.
Don't watch this. Don't waste your time. You'll not like it. You'll not enjoy it. Well, I'll
What
decide things.
what happens if it's an animation, right? But there's some real life people involved in the animation, like they've gone above
Well,
and beyond, like a Garfield situation or something.
I think that's because Alvin and the Chipmunks did something like that. I don't know if they were all like that,
I think
but
you're right,
definitely
actually. Yeah,
they are. Yeah. So I'm all right with that. Oddly, I find that I get more from that because I go, oh well, those actors, those real people are having to work with like
amazing.
little sticks or something, or like little green screeny
People with the green
head.
costume on just running around and
Yeah,
crawling. Yeah, it's an art.
and I think that's really cool. Um, but yeah, I need some sort of human life, real person in it. Um, but I think I was like a few years ago, I was forced to watch Frozen 2, and I hadn't seen Frozen 1.
Right.
It was a movie night at a friend's, and they were all watching Frozen 2, so I was forced to watch it, and it
You
was
were forced into the unknown.
that's very good.
There we go. Back in business.
Um,
First episode back, ladies and gents. So did you not enjoy it? Did you not enjoy the watch party?
no, I enjoyed the music because I think the music's stunning. But
No, not
I
really.
no, but I could listen to the soundtrack for the music.
Hmm.
I don't need to see, you know, icicles flying across my screen. Um, no, it's not. I don't know. I wish I could pinpoint it. I just anytime somebody mentions an animation, or that's the first. If somebody like invites me to the cinema or whatever,
Right.
I'll go. Is it an animation? That's my first question. Because if it is, can't can't go. Can't do
Yeah. Not when or where or what time. Is it a
it.
cartoon? Um,
What's it called? No, is it cartoon? Is it animation? Is it a drawing?
it's not real. There you go. It's back to your fiction writing.
That's
It's
good,
not real.
Chris.
There we go. It's
It's
all full
actually a
circle.
therapy session.
Always is. Always is.
Oh,
Um, what was I going to say? I just watched Brave the other night. You ever seen Brave? That's an animation, and
oh,
it's
the ginger
Scottish.
girl.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I thoroughly liked it. I had never seen it before, and Iona was mad at me the fact that I mean, how can you be Scottish and never seen it? But I'm Scottish, and now I have seen it, and I did really
And now
enjoy
you
it.
have.
Yeah,
I've not seen it, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Again, I think there's songs in that, aren't there?
a couple, not as many as the
Uh,
standard, but there is a couple songs.
Okay. There's a few. Is it Kelly MacDonald that plays
Yeah,
the lead? Yeah,
it's very good, very good.
very good.
And
But
I think
quick,
maybe Billy Connolly is hilarious in it as well.
is he in it?
He's like the dad, yeah.
Oh wow, love him.
Emma Thompson is the mum or the sister, and she's a brilliant
Of
Scottish accent. Yeah.
course, I was going to say because I think her mum's Scottish or was
Uh-huh.
Scottish.
There you go. Full circle moment again. When did you decide like you wanted to be an actor or a performer, I suppose? I don't like using the word actor all the time because we tend to do lots of things, don't we?
Yeah,
I think entertainer sounds a bit
entertainer
arrogant.
sounds like I feel like entertainer sounds like I'm a clown at kids' parties.
I am an all-round
Which
family entertainer.
yes, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and parties. No, which if you're a clown at kids' parties is also totally fine. It's just that it's not what I do.
Absolutely.
So,
God bless.
um, what was the question? When did I decide?
Yeah. Why did you want to be? When was the first kind of thing, and why did you decide this is what I want to do?
I don't know. I suppose like all through primary school, I went to a little drama club at the end of the street, and then and then when I got into first year at secondary school, there was an announcement for a drama club, and I thought, oh, I'll go to that. But until about third year, maybe even fourth year, I was all very backstage. Everything like I
Mm,
did the lighting for everything, I did the sound for all the school shows, and loved it, and really,
yeah.
really got a lot from it. And then something, I don't know, something just clicked or happened in fourth year. I had a really great drama teacher, Ilona Viviorsky, legend, and
Great name. What's her name?
uh, her first name's Ilona and second name's Viviorsky. So she's from, I think her family's Polish.
Cool.
So but I think she was born here. But she's fab. And I just saw her last week actually, and she's writing lots and doing lots of music stuff still. But anyway, I think she just sort of opened my eyes to a lot of different avenues, and acting seemed to be something that I slowly started with. But I believe it or not, quite a shy kid. Like I was kind of scared of the world when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I suppose that brought me out of my shell a little bit, and yeah, I just really loved it. And so I ended up being, I like in my school there was always the drama guy.
Hmm.
So when I was in first, second, third year, it was um like Greg or Sanjay or like people like I can still see them now. I know who they are. Like they were the drama people. They were the leads in all the school shows. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to be them. And
Yeah.
then somehow, when I got to like four, five, six, like fourth, fifth, and sixth year, it was me. I was the drama guy, which was like, that sounds dead cheesy again, but that's
No,
what
it's true. It
happened.
hams, yeah.
And yeah, and and then naturally you just think, well, there was a little period in my life where I wanted to do psychology. I wanted to go to uni and study psychology, but I think that when I look back at it, I think that's me like having an interest in people and character and
Mm.
sort of figuring out, you hear those fireworks?
Oh, a wee bit. It's not going to pick up. It's good. What was that for? Somebody's birthday?
I don't know. Literally never been a firework here in my life. And the moment you switch on a microphone. Yeah, the psychology thing was just a little, I think for a few months, when you go to your careers advisor and they go, what do you want to do? And I say an act and they go, yeah, but what do you actually want to do? And I go, well, maybe psychology. And then again, yeah, I think it was like a love or an intrigue for people and how characters work and how people's brains function. And so I think that linked back again to acting and studying text and character. So I applied for colleges and drama schools and stuff, and then just kind of went down that route.
What was like your first show?
My first professional one.
Yeah.
I think so. I did an HND for 2 years when I came out of secondary school, and then I had a year out, and then I did a foundation at RCS, and then had another year out, and then decided to go back and get my degree.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Iona and your good self. So somewhere in amongst all that, I was working a lot with the Citizens Theatre Young Company.
Yeah.
So not I mean, they're not professional. But it's not Amdram or youth theatre either. Maybe youth theatre, but it's not. It's more. I don't want to use the word polished, but it's more.
Though. Yeah, it's just professional.
It's like the full, because you get the full sets team, so it's basically it's a sets production.
Yeah.
But it's younger people doing it, and it's all people usually studying acting or drama or something. So I did quite a few of those. Yeah, I did a few of those, but then I think my first professional job was actually was a vocalist on a cruise ship.
Nice.
But that was only towards the end of the pandemic. And before that might have been a panto, maybe. I suppose I don't know if I don't know. Do you know?
It's like what's professional and what's not. Do you know what I mean? But it's still.
I'd say my first professional job on paper would have been the cruise ship gig. And then yeah.
And what was it? Was that after COVID or was that before COVID?
That was literally at the tail end because we weren't allowed off the ship for 2 months. So that was just at the
exact same thing happened to one of my pals, Dion. Do you know Dion? Dion Frati?
I know of them just through college and stuff. Yeah.
She was in my class at college and she did the exact same thing, and it couldn't have happened to a worse person in terms of being stuck at sea. It's hilarious.
No.
And then like she came on the podcast and I was like, listen, you've told me this story before, but it was so funny. You need to tell the story on here. So yeah, she was stuck at sea for a couple of months as well. So I mean, was that a horrendous experience or was that all right?
No, so I wasn't stuck. We were just like, it was the tail end of lockdown, so all the guests got off on and off weekly.
Right.
But we as entertainers. Oh my gosh, I was an entertainer. I was a clown at the evening meal. No, I was that as well. No, I was a guest entertainer, guest vocalist on this one gig. So we stayed on for 2 months, but we weren't allowed off just because if we got COVID or anything, then it would obviously impact our work.
The whole ship would, yeah.
And so I was stuck in that I was on a ship and not on land for 2 months, but we were still very much working and doing, normal work stuff.
That sounds like a fun thing. I wish I could sing. I can't sing. I wish I could. You know what I mean? And then I could do a cruise ship thing. I think it'd be a good laugh. I don't know.
It was that was a nice wee jammy job. That felt very much just like a holiday, and then you'd sing in the evenings sometimes. So
if you enjoyed it, it didn't really seem like work. I bet, you know.
Yeah, and that was basically a holiday with singing a few here and there. But it's funny because like you, like a few years ago, I would have said, "Oh, I'm not a singer."
Yeah,
because I never singing was quite a late thing for me.
Right.
And then that seems to be where I've kind of worked. Maybe not the most, but I've certainly got a lot of jobs because of my voice or whatever. So it's handy if you can do it, I suppose, because it's done me all right.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. It's about finding the songs that you can do, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I can do a full-on ballad, but you could probably do a character song. Like I've done You're Welcome from Moana, a few auditions.
Oh, nice.
Never got the job, but I still did the audition.
You did them, and that's the main thing.
That's all that matters.
That's funny. Taking part, you showed up and you did it and you committed. When I was in my last year of school, 6th year, I crashed higher music, and so my two instruments were voice and piano, or voice and keyboard, and I don't know who I thought I was, but one of my songs was "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," Elton John line,
nice,
and the other one was "Defying Gravity" from Wicked. Because because 16-year-old Cole thought it was Adina Menzel. So, and I must say, I took it up 4 semitones, so I wasn't quite singing it in her. But exactly what you're saying, everyone can sing, everyone can do something. You just need to figure out
Exactly.
where on that scale you sit.
Everybody can sing, everybody can read, everybody can act. It's just about finding your level. That's genuinely is like a therapy session for those listening. I hope you're enjoying
This
everybody.
is
Right, so
I need to pay you 60 quid at the end of this.
that'll pay you. Right, so in terms of talking about a film today, right? Obviously, I asked you to pick a film you liked. You
Yes,
mentioned the most recent one you saw was Luther, The Fallen Sun. Did you know it's
yes,
the fallen sun as in the sun that lights the earth, not the sun as in someone's son? I thought it was
yes.
someone's son, and then I was
No,
like, watch the film, and I'm like, it's going to have to do with the sun. What's this all about?
that's exactly why I was just going to say I knew it was SUN
Hmm.
because I was the whole time I was watching the film going, why is it called The Fallen Sun?
Looking for a son. Oh, well, I thought he was somebody's son that maybe had fallen somewhere.
No,
And
maybe it
it's
is
not.
a double entendre
Maybe
type
it is.
thing, but yeah, I was scratching my head the whole film going, why? And I felt really stupid. I was like, what am I missing? Why is it called The Fallen Sun?
It seemed everything seemed to happen at night time. You know.
There was a lot of night stuff going on, but I mean,
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, that's why the sun had fallen. Everything was done at night time. Ah, we've cracked it.
yeah, but not a bit. I wouldn't say enough. Like it wasn't like the whole film was set at night.
And you see the sun drastically lowering in the
Aha,
distance. You don't get that.
there was no Lion King sunset,
No.
which is
Although would have
what
like created a beautiful scenery in the film.
would have been lovely in those final moments.
That's true. Surrounded by death and stuff. Um, So is that? Do you have a favorite film? Like, do you have like one that you always say this is my favorite film? Because a lot of people don't have a favorite. You know what I mean? So they'll, just will talk
Yeah,
about something they've seen recently. You know?
um, yeah. I don't know if I've got a favorite. Again, like because I'm not a huge fan of films.
Yeah.
Like I always say to people, like don't try because I'll talk about the weirdest films or like the most not obscure or weird, but just it'll go from something like High School Musical 2 to
Mate,
Prisoners.
let's not get started. If we get me down the kind of rabbit hole of High School Musical, we're going to be here for a long time. It's my
Oh,
favorite musical.
really?
Yeah, yeah. Grew up with that.
Oh,
No, High School Musical one. I say this all the time. High School Musical one might be the reason why I became an actor.
oh, wow,
Yeah,
really?
because
Who?
you had this guy who was like known as like the popular guy, who's the cool guy, right? He doesn't do
I don't
drama,
want to be the basketball guy.
but you're not
That was
just the
you.
guy, Troy. You're not just the guy, you know. And he was like, but I want to do this other thing. It's not what you're supposed to do. I played basketball when
Yeah,
I was wee. I tried to have my hair like him, and then he went in to do what he liked, performing and stuff. So I'm not saying it's the reason because I was always doing wee shows and stuff, but
yeah.
that's a big thing, and sometimes I think
That's
about that.
lovely.
Yeah.
That's quite special. We must talk about more of that after this because I love High School Musical. Oh, I should have picked that.
That would have been, I would have loved.
I just thought I was like Chris. I don't, for some reason I didn't think you'd be into High School Musical, so and also it
No,
didn't come into my head. But
yeah.
I'm loving that you're a big High School Musical fan. That's good. That's given me a lot of chat.
Yeah. Well, me and my sister and Iona, my partner, we went to a High School Musical themed night out last year
Whoa!
into a club, and it was just High School Musical songs, and it was
And
good.
was
It
it
was just like
remixed?
it's kind. A lot of it was remixed, which I didn't like. I was
Okay.
just hoping you were going to start from one and then just click play, baby, and then just have the whole playlist. But they were trying to incorporate like Harry Styles songs, Taylor Swift songs, Miley Cyrus
No.
songs, and which was fine. They did have the Jonas Brothers at some point, which I was happy about. I'm sure they did play the best of both worlds, which was also good.
Oh, good.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
because I mean, Jonas Brothers, that's Camp Rocks. That's
that's
almost
fair,
mentioned
right?
Camp
Yeah.
Rock. Yeah, which I listened to the Camp Rock album the other day. I just took a hankering and I thought, you know, with that song, you're the voice I hear inside my head, the reason that I'm singing. I gotta find you. I don't know what it's called.
I'm sure it's
Um,
called "Gotta Find You," but there's also it's a remix and "This Is Me." Is that maybe?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is real. This
yeah.
is me. Love it. I've just
Beautiful.
spoken for 5 minutes saying how I keep getting work as a vocalist and then absolutely trashed some musical songs
Is
there.
that Demi? Did Demi walk in the room? Honestly, I love all that stuff, man. Hannah Montana
Oh,
soundtrack, Cheetah Girls. Oh man.
yes.
Anyway, back to a
So
very
what
serious
about?
film.
Oh no, wait. One last one.
Yeah,
Did you ever watch Starstruck?
I have watched Starstruck since, but it wasn't part of my childhood. But
Okay.
now I love it. What's the song?
Starstruck.
What's the other one he
We're
sings?
gonna be. Oh, I don't know.
And I'll be a hero.
Oh, is
Christopher
it not
Wilde.
that one?
You do. What's his? Hang on, I'll play it. You'll know it.
I loved. I'll know it as soon as you play it, or sing it again. I just wasn't in the
I don't
zone.
know the words. I don't know the words.
Okay, don't sing it then.
You know it.
I can't hear it.
You got it. That'll be why. I'm sitting here playing the song. You can hear it.
Why is it not coming through?
I can hear it.
Is it? Is that coming out your actual phone?
Yeah.
I can't hear a thing.
All right. We'll search it up after this.
Ah well.
We could have done Starstruck. Camera flashing. Right. In terms of this film, so did you ever watch Luther, the TV show?
I did. I loved Luther, the TV show. I think that was my in. I saw it come
Right.
up on Netflix, and I thought, boom, Cole. There's a film. You'll make your friends proud because you'll have watched a film.
What is
And
this?
this was Luther, but I get slagged from my friends. Actually, going back to panel, Julie Wilson Nimmo, she loves films. Like her and her husband, like her husband also writes tons. So like they just love films, love American stuff. I'm not mad on American stuff either. Don't know why that is either. But so I used to get bullied on a daily basis because they'd be like, "Oh, have you seen this film? And what about that film? And see that bit in this film?"
Aye.
And I'd be like, "I've never seen it." And they'd be like, "You've never seen The Breakfast Club?" I'd be like, "No, but I've been to a Breakfast Club. Is that the same thing?"
I've had breakfast.
I've had breakfast and I've been to a club. So I think we can all agree that I've seen it. Okay.
Same thing.
But I forgot what am I talking about? What was I saying before that?
You're amazed the fact that you saw a film that you could watch on Netflix.
Yes. So when that came up, I thought, boom, there's a film, Cole. You'll probably enjoy it because you've seen Luther. You loved Luther. Do you know how much I thought I'd like it? I didn't even look at how long it was on for. There you go.
If you thought it was 2 hours and 9 minutes, it might not have gone on, but
it might, yeah. If that goes over a certain number, it's not for me. But with Luther, I wasn't caring because I love the series.
So I have never seen the series, right?
Have you not?
So you obviously picked the film, and I was like, oh, that puts me in a bit of a conundrum because I need to watch 3 seasons.
Imagine I'd done that to totally like, Chris, you're going to have to watch every series of Luther and the film.
I would have tried. I don't know if I would have done it though, but I would have tried. I was like, no, I have to. I'm quite bad with that. Where it's like I feel like I need to know everything.
Okay, yeah.
I can't just put a TV show on in the background and I'm doing other stuff. Like I want to watch it because I want to remember what happens. I want to go. This was happened in season 2, episode 8, and that happened. I'm not good at it, but I try. But so but I feel as if that was going to happen like that. But I also had to take into account that some people are not going to even know that Luther had a TV show. So I thought watching it from that perspective might be quite cool. How are they going to do it with someone that's going in blind? I mean, I had my glasses on, but it was good. I really enjoyed. My point is, I still really enjoyed it, considering the fact I had never seen the show before. However, as someone who has seen the show yourself, do you feel like it would benefit me to go back and watch the show? Do you feel like they do go hand in hand? Was it a good representation of the show?
I don't think you have to have seen the show at all. No.
Okay.
I think the only thing, unless I've missed any huge plot points, the only thing for me that having watched the series was good for was that I knew who Luther was really well. And I knew who what was the guy at the end called? The kind of boss that's helping them?
Aye, like his pal.
Yeah, I knew who he was because they worked together in the series. But you don't need to know that. You just need to know that he's a police detective guy, and this other guy also used to be in the film. That's all you need to know. But I just knew a bit more of their character. So yeah, it didn't really help to have watched the series.
Okay, cool. Well, you've kind of already told us, but what did you think? Why did you like it so much?
It was just for me. I thought it was packed with content. There was just a lot happening. It started off really well. It sort of hooked you in. Hooked you in slowly, and then it started getting pretty pacey. We jumped to a different country. We were all over London. we were in different sets and um different locations, which just kept me interested. And I thought the writing was really good. Cynthia Erivo was in it, and I love her.
She's cracking. Yep.
So she's great, and I've never seen her. I don't think she's done anything like that before. Actually, I've never seen her in anything like that. So great to see her in that, and kind of just a nice celebration that Luther was back. So
Well, that's the thing. It's like that as she said, did you ever watch the show Dexter?
no,
So that's
I
the
know of it.
blood spatter analyst guy that actually is a murderer in his spare time, but he only kills bad guys, right?
Okay.
Great show, but overran its course, right? So it got to like
Okay.
7 or 8 seasons. Fans were getting sick of it and stuff, and then they weren't satisfied with the ending. So
So they did more.
8 years later, or something, they brought back another series to kind of fix it or whatever,
No.
and that was like the reason why that was the buzz, all the
Yeah.
fans we had to watch it. So maybe that was like with you, you saw it was like another
Yeah.
more Luther content, and
Yeah.
you didn't care how long it was. Have you ever seen Bad Times at the El Royale?
No. Is that a film?
Yeah, here it's here. So this, I don't want to break any hearts here, but it's 2 hours and 21 minutes, right? It's long.
My
However,
gosh, Chris.
it's absolutely superb. It's a very underrated film. It came out in 2018, and it's Cynthia Erivo.
Erivo, I think.
Erivo. It's
Yeah.
her first big role, essentially. And
Ah.
I remember when I saw her name pop up on the IMDb list for the new Luther film, I was like, oh, that's her from Bad Times at the El Royale. And there's this scene where I'm sure it's like a full song she sings, but there's like no music. It's just her voice, and stuff is happening, and you're being kind of told what the story is going to be about to the backdrop of her singing totally a
Oh,
cappella, and
wow.
it's very very powerful. So her name like stood out because of that. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll recommend that to Cole. So
Oh,
I know it's long,
nice.
but it's a great cast. You've got Chris Hemsworth with his shirt off, but a bit of a kind of porno mustache, but it's fine. Um,
We can live with that.
we can live with that. Jeff Bridges, John
Oh,
Hamm, Dakota Johnson. It's superb and totally underrated, so I'd recommend
nice.
that. But
I
it's
will.
long.
I'll give that a watch. I bet if it's like if I think I'm going to like it, even if it's long, I'm quite judge a book by its cover when it comes to films.
Right.
So if it looks good and I think I'm going to be into it, but it is over 2 hours, I'll still give it a shot. So I'll
You
give
know,
it a
you can
shot.
you can pause, you know what I mean, go back to
You
the
can
next
pause
day
it.
or whatever. But I don't want to tell you too much, but basically something happens and it's like you see it from different people's perspectives throughout the film. I think that's also why it's so long, because they
Oh,
tried to do everyone's thing.
okay.
So it was good. So check that one out if you can.
Do you know, just as you've said that, I remember going to the cinema when I was in secondary school to see, oh, what was it called? Now You See Me.
Right. Yep. The one
Do
about
you ever watch
magic.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Love, because when I was younger, I was obsessed with magic.
Yeah.
And it was before I became a clown, I was a magician. No, I'm kidding. Uh, and I went to see it at the cinema, and there was that huge twist at the end, and I was just sat in my chair like, "Whoa!" I did not see that. Stand up my chair. Well done, everyone. That was cracking. And to the point where the next day I went back to watch it again with a twist implied, because I was like, right now I know what happens. I need to go back and watch the whole thing,
Yep.
and I did, and I loved it.
Isn't that crazy how like the film sometimes it changes a lot, but it's sometimes better and more enjoyable on the second viewing
Uh
because you're
huh.
not you're not tricked anymore. You know how it's going
Yeah,
to happen. You know how
I
it's going
was
to
in
get
on
in.
it. I was in on the twist, so I thought, right now I can really sit back and bask in this film,
Yeah,
and I did.
and I did.
So
Have you ever seen the Truman Show
no,
with Jim
I know of
Carrey?
it, but no.
Uh, Great film as well, and that's a second watcher. You know what I mean? Like you watch it the first time, you
Yeah.
go ah, and then you watch it again, you go oh, because it all makes sense. So I watched that. I watched that with Iona, and she was sitting there. You know how she is. She's just like what? But I was
What?
like, we're going
What
to watch
is
it a second
this?
time. We're going to watch it a second time, and it's going to be good. Trust me. I promise. I'm listening through it again, so we've not done it, but we will.
I thought you were going to say, and we did, and she loves it, and she's watched it again and again, but no.
We haven't even got there yet. That's fine. Um, so that was that. And then Andy Serkis was in the new Luther film. Now, Andy Serkis to me is like, he has now kind of made his career and his legacy on all the mocap stuff, all the kind of
Yes,
Planet of the Apes
he
and all that stuff.
he the baddie.
He's the baddie.
That's where my brain's at. Was he the goodie or the baddie?
He's the baddie. So he's
Uh,
got Gollum in Lord of the Rings. He's Caesar in
yes, yeah.
Planet of the Apes. He's in Andor, is he? Oh, he's Alfred in the new Batman. So he's been about. He has been about.
He's He's got a good bank balance.
And he's Snoke in the new Star Wars films. He was Baloo in the remake of Mowgli. He was in Black Panther. So he's basically he's in
Wow.
Avengers and stuff. So he's made this kind of career now based on this, all the mocap stuff, and he's
Yeah.
doing the body work and stuff. But you forget that he's actually a really good actor and stuff. My one question was, what was he doing with his hair? Like it had to be a wig. It had to be.
Yeah. But I thought, didn't he look so creepy?
He looked really creepy, and he looked really old, like an old school Bond villain. I thought it looked
Yeah.
like
I thought that must have been a wig, and I thought that's just to add to the creep in him.
definitely.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
he's got a good voice and stuff that he can be creepy with, but
yeah,
yeah, I did think just some of the outfits and the hair, and he was clean shaven. I
yeah,
don't really see him clean shaven very often,
yeah. I didn't.
So
Yeah, it just looked really. Yeah, it just looked odd and unsettling. That's the word that maybe give him.
yeah.
But yeah, but another just come back to another reason why I really loved it was because I didn't feel once you've watched the whole thing, I feel it's something that totally could happen in real life.
Mm.
Like I don't think like in 10 years time, maybe like even now, I feel like in some sick person's brain that could be a thing to do the whole like webcam
Game
torture chamber
show,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Like it wasn't that far. It didn't feel too far removed from real life. Obviously, is it Sweden or Norway they
yeah,
go away? So it's kind of embellished with all these, cinematic, or with change of locations, and we've got all these high tech things. But maybe not that. But I feel like it's totally some sick person soon will probably do something like that.
could be out there, yeah. They do need to turn these things up though. I think because it's the film, you know what I mean. Like they need to kind of keep you
Yeah,
interested and stuff.
yeah,
So like in the bit in is it Piccadilly Square or something, where it's like
yeah,
the big moment halfway through the film where it all changes and like he sees him in the flesh and stuff, and then there's like these bodies. We don't want to spoil too much if it's especially if it's a new film, but there's these bodies like
yeah,
positioned up on top of buildings and stuff. Like all that stuff, it's like this is really good cinema, It
yeah,
looked really
and
cool, and I kind of wish I saw it at the cinema because the sound would have been really
yeah.
cool and stuff, But that's the age we live in.
And also because of where that was, it was kind of like Piccadilly Circus. Like we've all been there, or it's a place that
Relatable,
you can
yeah,
literally stand and and your wee sort of actor brain's going, oh wow, they'd have had to have shut that down for a few days to film all this,
yes,
and it's literally right in the center of London. That would have been like at least 4 night shoots. They'd all been in the center of
chaos,
London.
yeah.
All those screens would have had to been paused or selected, like what advertisements were going on them. Like my wee
Yeah.
brain was going mad, going, "Oh, this is so cool! How they've done this."
It's like a cool scene
Uh,
that you remember because of that.
yeah, yeah,
Totally. But I thought that was a really good scene, and that totally changed the film in terms of it went to a really dark place. It was already pretty dark in terms of the torturing
yeah,
and stuff, but like that was like the whoa, like the really moment where you go,
yeah.
this guy's nuts. And then also just the old like the at the end where they go to find Andy Serkis's character, what's his name in it?
The
David
baddie,
Roby. David Roby. Roby?
Robbie,
I think it's Roby.
Rob. I don't
Not
know.
Robbie Williams. They go to like the house in the other country, and it's just like there's snow everywhere. It's like an ice
Yeah,
area, just for the dramatic effect. The snow's quite creepy and quite intimidating, but then like they go under the ice and stuff, and there's
yeah,
that aspect that's terrifying to me. Being trapped under there, not being able to get back up and stuff, and I thought they've
yeah.
done that really well. Like I think I read on IMDb that they filmed that in like one of the biggest kind of underwater shooting tanks in Europe and
Oh,
stuff. So
okay.
it did look really epic. So
Yeah,
I appreciated the effort and the commitment to that particular
yeah.
scene.
And also what you're saying about going back to the Bond comment, like that when we arrived in that snowy landscape, it was all these drone shots surrounding the
Yeah,
house, and like just this house in the middle of all this snow. I thought that was very James Bond-esque.
was very James Bond. Are you a Bond fan at all? You watched any James Bond fan films?
I've never seen any. I think I've seen a bit of what's the one they filmed a bit in Scotland at Glencoe, Skyfall.
Skyfall. Yeah,
I've seen a bit or bits of it, but I've never sat through a full James Bond.
I've got the big box set there, and I went out to a whole like watch through. And
Wow.
Ian Grieve is like the biggest Bond fan, and I
Is
was
he?
like, what we could do is like I just said this to him in passing. I was like, well, if I watch them all, I'm seeing them all for the first time, apart from like 4 or 5. If I
Yeah.
watch them all, we could do like a weekly or a monthly thing on the podcast. And he's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. next time I asked him about it, he's like, "I've made you an episode plan," and he's like, "He sent me this docket,
Wow.
so now I'm like, now I need to do it." So
You
um,
must.
I
How
guess
many
I'm.
Bond films are there? Or how many have you got in your collection?
You know what? I think it's like 22.
Really?
It's loads, yeah. It's loads.
Wow.
But it's a whole it's like a hole in my kind of knowledge of films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't know anything about. I know stuff about Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's like that and Lord of
Well,
the Rings. I don't know much about them.
do you know what I hate about the fact that I'm not a huge film buff? Is see when like you've done it a few times and I've felt terrible. You go, "Oh, have you seen
I
this?" And then you
know.
tell me the name of a film, and then I go, "No." And see during Tyler Collins, who you spoke about at the start, we shared a dressing room doing panel, and he's like he loves films and he's seen every film on
Yeah.
earth. So he'd be like, "Have you seen this film? Have you seen that?" And every time it was no. And it's such a conversation like such a, like that specifically such a conversation killer because he's so enthusiastic. I was like, "Have you seen this? Did you watch that when it came out?" And I'm like, "No,
No, I've no actually.
no." But I watched Loose Women yesterday at 12, and it was quite good. Have you seen that? So
Loose women.
Loose.
um, I saw the Bond film. That's what I was gonna say. So I need to watch all them. Um, I did say to my friend the other day that I was doing the podcast tonight, and it was going to be about this film and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't like it. I just felt as if it was Idris Elba's Bond audition." And I was like, "I
Yeah,
guess you could probably say that.
I
I think
can see that.
that's quite fair. He does. He's very Bondy." But it
Yeah.
works for him. Again, I don't know Luther, so maybe it was very true to the Luther character. But I thought it
It
was really
was
good.
very true. I think, yeah, like as you say, it was a film version, so they had to sort of
Yeah,
up everything. But it wasn't everything he did in that film, apart from maybe the underwater stuff. But again, that's a big
yeah.
film thing, isn't it? It was pretty much the Luther that we've always known and loved. So I don't think, yeah, I
He was
think
Earl Luther.
our Luther
Earl Luther.
sitting on a bucket.
That's it. Uh,
Um,
have you seen the Knives Out films? I don't want to do this to you again. Have you seen this?
actually, have you seen that one? I started watching the first one and I just couldn't.
Right.
It wasn't. It was not for me.
It's funny. It's like hot or cold with those films. A lot of people like them, and a lot of people
Yeah.
don't. I really like them. And Daniel Craig in that film. He plays a detective called Benoit
Yeah.
Blanc, and I have
Yes, is he?
no
He's the one
idea.
interviewing them all.
Yeah. He's like the big
Yeah.
detective, and I have no idea what he's doing with his accent. And he's doing this like Southern American accent. I don't know what you're going to say now, pa. And like I have no idea. But it's watching Daniel Craig, who's so British, doing that, and he's Bond. You know what I mean? It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So I watched it for that alone, and ended up really loving the film and stuff. He's one of my favorite detectives. I also wrote down David Mills and William Somerset from Seven. That's another good detective film. If you've not seen Seven, you should check out too. It's Brad Pitt
Oh,
and Morgan Freeman
I've
uh,
heard of that one.
from 1995. Annoyingly enough, not 1997. But it's yeah. I was just thinking about other detective films and stuff, and I was like, who really stands out? Could you make a top 10 or something? Would Luther be on there? So yeah, if you like the genre of the Luther, like the detective and the kind of
Yeah.
hunting down the murderers and stuff, Dexter's a good one, and then Knives Out and Seven is ones to check
Okay.
out too. But this is like on the comeback though. These things, I mean, everyone loves the Netflix murder documentary. So what they've done is they've
Yeah.
used that and they've turned it into, let's make more series and more films about it and stuff. Do you ever watch any of those
Yeah.
documentaries? Do you like that stuff?
Love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love them.
New one
Watch them
comes out
all.
and it's like on repeat, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think they're easy to watch too, which probably sounds a bit morbid, but it's like finding out about the story
Yeah.
is quite interesting.
But then I'm sure I listened to a podcast and it said that the highest volume or the most people that watch those crime documentaries are females. It's
Really?
women. And apparently it's because somewhere deep in the psychology of the brain, it's because they want to know how to prepare for an event such as whatever the thing is.
Yeah, I could
They
believe that, yeah.
they, they need to know what they're going to do. But they're not thinking about that, but it's apparently something in mostly women that's
Yeah.
like I need to be prepared for whatever might happen. So I need to watch this documentary to see what happened, what awful thing happened to them, which is awful when you think about it. But that's what I heard on this podcast.
It's probably quite fair as well. You could, because you probably learn more from that sort of stuff than you would in like a class.
Yeah,
Because these are like
Taekwondo.
real things, Taekwondo, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, cool. This is the question I always ask at the end of the show, the Good Bit podcast. What was your favourite bit of the film?
Oh, um, I think this feels like a random bit, but there's a scene with um Cynthia Erivo and Luther. She's actor name, character name. I can't remember her character name.
I can't either.
Wait, it begins with an R.
I'll find it.
Oh, this is terrible. No, it doesn't even tell me on Google. Anyway,
Rain.
Rain.
Odette Rain. There you go.
Odette Rain.
Odette
Detective Rain.
Detective Rain.
So there's a scene between those two in an alleyway in London, and it's sort of where they decide to team up.
Yeah, that's good.
And she tries to put him in the boot, and then she's like, "Get out! This is stupid." Or like they end up not going in the boot. But I think it's just a really nice scene because it's the thing that moves the film along and goes, right, okay, we need to team up to get this guy, and then further awful things happen. But just but also quite unhinged because I think she's got a gun at
That's
that
what I
point,
was
but
going to say.
she doesn't use it. The threat is always there, but she doesn't use it on him. She just fires it at a bin or something to sort of scare him or jump scare him a wee bit.
Yeah.
And then they end up both teaming up and working together to eventually save the day. Or do they?
Or do they? There you go. I think they shot it really well because, no pun intended, because they show the gun, you know what I mean? As if, like she's behind them, as if, she's going to shoot him or whatever. But does she? You'll have to watch and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a good shoot. I thought that was a really good bit as well. That probably my favourite bit, or even the bit in Piccadilly Circus. You know what I mean? That was more of an epic moment, you know.
That was a big cinematic moment of, this is cool.
Because I was kind of like, I think I was on my phone at one point when that was on, and then that happened, and I was like, oh, and it kind of made me put my phone down. I kind of, that judges it. It's so easy to get distracted these days just to reach for your phone and like not pay attention. So for something that can hold your attention is really impressive.
Or I'm quite good, so I don't call it this, but I do like a watch check. So mostly if I'm at the theatre and if it's getting like if it's going on a bit and I'm not loving it, like I'll check my watch, and as soon as I've checked my watch, I go, I didn't pass the watch test. Which I'm not doing a watch test, but I just go, oh, that's annoying because I've checked my watch, so it means I'm not really into it, and I'm not really enjoying it.
I see what you mean. Okay, I thought you meant you had like a time on, like I need to check it after half an hour in. I see what you mean.
No, it's just like, if I've checked my watch at any point,
you're not loving it.
I'm not into it enough because I've checked my watch to see how long I've been in the theatre or to see how long it's got left if I know what the running time is. So yeah. But it's not I don't go in going, we'll see if this passes the watch test. It just sometimes I look at my watch and go, oh, raging, that's me. It must not be like this.
That could be a blog or something you could do, or a podcast, like the watch test. What passes
the watch test by Cole Stewart. Cole Stewart didn't enjoy The Wizard of Oz at the Tron. He looked at his watch 5 minutes and 6 seconds in, and then also just after the interval, it'd be a terrible blog.
It'd be the same thing every time. If there's an entry, then it was bad. So there you go.
Yeah.
What else you got coming up this year? What have you got? Like, have you got anything lined up jobs wise? I know it's probably a horrid question, but like, have you got anything
it's a horrible
in the pipeline?
Question. No, it's all right. I've got in June, July, I'm producing a little comedy show
Nice.
called, what's it called now? The Janice and Frank Story Part 3 Cruise. And that's Brian O'Sullivan, who does the podcast.
Cool.
Is also an actor and comedian. So he's doing last summer. Wow, take any of those. Last summer we did a tour, a little Scottish mini tour of the Janice and Frank Story Part 2. And this year I think we're only doing it at the Autumn
right.
In July. Tickets are on sale. Come see it. It's very funny.
Yeah, I'm just going on your Twitter there just to make sure I've got the right handle. I'm supposed to be good at that.
Do you know I've been having a wee social media holiday, which I sound like a total wanker saying that. I'm so sorry I've even said it, but just on at the weekend there, I've had like a wee stressful month, and I'm not really a stressy person.
No.
And so I just noticed myself getting a bit stressy and nervy, and I thought I need to eliminate something. And for some reason, it was social media. It kind of felt like an unconscious choice. It was just like, I'm just going to get rid of this for a wee bit. So I've got like Messenger and my texts and phone calls, but all social media, I'm like taking a break from Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Just
How do you feel? How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel there was a word I described I said earlier, and it sounds a bit dramatic, but I feel like empty in a good way. Like, because I'm not like checking,
That's
like, because
so true.
I've nothing to check, or like I'm not like my BeReal's not going off like
Right.
throughout the day, and then I'm not checking everyone's Instagram stories, but I'm so nosy and I love to know what people are doing, and I love people, so it feels dead unnatural. But I just think at the moment it's like I don't feel like I've got the capacity for it. I hate myself for saying that sentence, but it's like something easy that I can eliminate at the moment. And it's only for a few days or like a week, but I'm
Yeah.
sure by the weekend I'll be back on socials. Um, but it just felt like a good thing to lose.
I think about it all the time. You know that way? Like I'm on Twitter, right? And I'm like laughing 1 minute and then I watch someone just be the most horrible person to someone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this for? Like a minute
Uh-huh.
ago, I was having such a good time. And then it's also, why is that person made the tweet? What is that person like?
Yeah.
I'm going to send them
Yeah.
that they
They
look
need to
stupid.
know.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I hated their movie and I'm going to tell them because they need to know it. They have annoyed me. And it's just that. I just can't do it. But then I always say to myself, if I didn't have the podcast, if I didn't have stuff to promote, I wouldn't have it. But I feel like I need to keep it, sort of thing. And then because I need to keep it, I always check it. I check it far too much. But
Yeah.
I'd like to do
That
that.
was why I nearly didn't do it, because I thought, well, cool, you kind of like, I use it for work, like for the podcast, for example. I'm
Yeah,
always like using the account on Instagram and Twitter and all that. But then I thought, well, I can just, so today, for example, I put a thing out on the podcast one, but I just nipped in for a second,
yeah.
switched the account, did it, and then I was right back out. So almost like I was sneaking in. I was like, Cole, it's fine. Like you, like it's your phone, it's your account. You can do it. But I felt like I was sneaking in on
They're
somebody
going to
else's.
see me.
I was
They're
like,
going to see me.
yeah, I'll just do this real quick. I'll switch the account. I'll post a photo and I'll be right back out. I was like, Cole, it's just your own stuff. It's fine. Don't worry.
No one's going to care. Well,
Yeah.
whenever Cole makes that big return to Twitter, he is at Cole STW on Twitter. So get that followed. And then the playing.
The what?
What's the podcast called again?
The podcast is Pit CC Pod, putting it together podcast.
I had playing. I was going to playing it together, putting it together,
Playing it together.
playing it together. Pit CC Pod. The issue is with the handles, you can't get it exactly what you want. You know what I mean?
I
So it's like,
know. It's a real issue in the modern
oh,
world.
there's Cindy.
Yes, she is.
I'll get a listen. Right, okay, cool. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Cole, for coming on. I really appreciate your time. We've been talking about doing this for ages, so glad we finally got to do it. So
Thanks for having me.
hopefully you can come back when you watch all those films I've recommended you.
When I watched the 22 James Bond films, the Seven, and Knives Out, and all of
Knives
them,
Out, that's the one. Bad Times at the El Royale. Check that one out.
that was it. That's a mouthful. I don't
It's a
know.
bit hard. It's a bit hard to say.
But I'm into that because Cynthia Erivo's in it.
Exactly, and she
So,
sings.
who
So
actually I've not mentioned, my housemate is pals with Cynthia Erivo
really,
at
and
Wild.
what way?
They trained together in London, and then they nearly moved in together. They were
Wow.
both going out with different people at the time, and because the other day, or he's not here now, but he was chatting, and he kept just saying Cynthia. I was like, oh yes, Cynthia, this and Cynthia. I was like, it's Cynthia Erivo because she's in the new
Full
Wicked
name.
film.
Yeah.
And I was like, why'd you just keep calling her Cynthia? And he was like, because we're pals, like we go way back. And I was like, shut up.
No
He was like,
way.
no, I'm not kidding. I was a wee bit gobsmacked, but
And going back to our previous conversation, the first thing I'm thinking about is, can you get her on the podcast?
Can we get her in? I think she's
Can we
ready,
get her in? There we go. Right, okay. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much, Cole. We'll catch you all down the road.
Thank you. See ya.
Citizens